short time from now, the president will tour Cape Coast Castle, which was Britain's headquarters in West Africa for the transatlantic slave trade. This after visiting patients at a hospital this morning and then addressing Ghana's parliament. NBC News political director and chief White House correspondent Chuck Todd is traveling with the president, and Chuck joins us now live from Accra, Ghana. So, Chuck, let's get your interpretations on how the president's speech to parliament was received.
Well, it was incredibly well received, Alex. I was there in the convention center. They moved it to their local convention center to accommodate more dignitaries so that they could come. You had a former president in the audience talking to people after the speech. There was definitely an emotional connection, and I think that that's something that I think some of the pictures we're getting a taste of this, some of the emotion that's here. But there is a lot of emotion here on the streets of Accra. There were women in Obama dresses chanting. They had a choir, which I'm sure some folks heard in the background, singing to the tune of Amen, singing Yes We Can to the Amen hymn. So that's the part of it that's most striking, is the reception on the ground here. And then so what you're wondering is, did the president's speech, which they were all very happy about, and they got the message that the president wanted to get across, which is, you know what, this is now the responsibility of Africans to pick themselves up, and that they have to start governing themselves, that they have to start dealing with this stuff. And so I'll be curious to come back here 3, 4 years down the road, 6 years down the road, and see, is this just an emotional moment because they're so excited that an American president has African blood, and so they're excited now, or will they do the hard work that is necessary to get Africa moving forward?
It's interesting. You talk about all the emotions there, of which I'm betting there are going to be a lot at this upcoming tour of the Cape Coast Castle. Talk about the significance of this location and just what's expected.
Well, I mean, this is, I think, going to be just personally emotional for both Michelle Obama and President Obama. Here you have President Obama with his own African roots, but then you have Michelle Obama with her own roots, and I think this is going to touch her a great deal. And you just can't, until any of us walk in the shoes. In the shoes of an African American, it is hard to understand the emotion of that, and it's you can appreciate it historically, you can appreciate it as an observer, but I think to understand it, Alex, you and I don't. Yeah. We're not going to understand it. We got to walk a day in the shoes of an African American to understand what the meaning of that castle and being there and the symbolic significance of it is.
Well, I can't say, not being in those shoes, but looking at that castle myself personally, I know I feel a lot of pain when I look at it. That's for darn sure. Right. When it comes to the president's trip abroad, Chuck, you've traveled with him and you've seen the multitudes, the throngs, all of it in the past as he's traveled internationally. How about this trip? Gauge its success and maybe put it in context with the other ones he's made.
Well, it's interesting. They want to put it in context, and I look at it this way. We're not quite at the 6-month mark. He has given this speech today to the Ghana Parliament is the fourth in what the White House says is a series of 4 speeches. He gave one in Prague, and there were thousands that turned out for that. The big Cairo speech, which I think ultimately is the one that they believe historically will be perhaps one of his 3 or 4 most significant speeches of his entire presidency, whether a 4-year presidency or an 8-year presidency. The speech in Moscow that he gave, that frankly I don't know how many Russians actually saw it, but it was a message that they were determined to give there and hope that some Russians heard it. And then this one today, and it gives you a sense of what he hopes is the Obama doctrine on when it comes to foreign policy, where this one was about development and about governance, and then the Cairo speech about reaching out to the Muslim world, and of course Prague about nuclear nonproliferation, and with Moscow about how you have diplomatic relations with co-equal rivals. And so I think read all 4 speeches. You do get a sense of what he hopes his doctrine is. And then now, from here on forward, these trips are about, these next trips and his policy going forward is about implementing this philosophy, implementing this vision that he's laid out. And so now it's our job to watch to see, does he do it? Does he live up to the words that he's spoken?
Okay. Chuck Todd, it's good to see you long distance there. Safe travels home. See you back stateside.
Nice to see you, Alex.
Thank you.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay.